This is the moment I live for, and I know it's the moment my clients will never forget. It's the moment the client gets to see their home for the first time. This is after we finished building the home, and now we've also furnished it. We welcome you to see what they see when they arrive, and this is the reveal. Welcome to the little house. This is meant to be an experience the minute you walk through the door. I was able to do something that I had conjured up in my own soul. I remember driving past and seeing this house for sale, and it had really good roof lines, the perfect pitch by the front door. And I could just imagine all of the details I could fill it with because it was small. And I'm just a huge fan of going smaller and adding in all of those touches that make it feel authentic and integrity-ridden. And then enjoy living in that space and being cozy in that space. So I hope you feel that as we make this big tour of the reveal today of the little house. Everything starts at the entrance. We know it's the first thing everybody sees. You can see all around you the walnut moldings and of course the cool old-fashioned brass light switches that are really fun to use. And you can just order those online to develop authenticity in your older homes. I love this diamond cut window. It's one of the things that also sold me on the house because that is a touch from the past. So it was obvious that this would be a great space for my new office. I have some of my favorite little pieces out that were for one of our projects. And you can see, just like everything, I want it to be textured and soft and rich and quality. This office really is small, but it's got everything I need. I love the background with this crazy bird wallpaper. So for me, I love the studio, and I love bringing my clients into a space like this where I get to talk about the way they will live in their homes. Over here, you'll see an antique that I found in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, probably it's been 12 years. This was in my garage. My husband was complaining. We've all had those things until it found a home, and I couldn't do it better. This allows me to put all of my samples, my small ones, my metal pieces, my threads, my yarns, and it really gives the space that sense of antiquity and charm that the house deserves. One thing I decided was I wanted a high gloss paint. I felt like in this room we'd go a different direction, and of course back in the day they used a lot of oil-based high gloss paint on moldings, and I wanted this room to whisper back to that time period. The goal was to make it all sort of a living space and an experience. I love the way I feel when I see color. You can see we went with a brilliant emerald green velvet on the sofa, and it's the thing that gets talked about the most. Everybody loves this sofa, and I truly do love emerald green and blues, of course. Now, this is paneling that we added throughout the house because I feel like that's intrinsic in the 1940s. They did more applied moldings back then and really spent the money on the details. We ran it through the house as well as the color on the windows. You'll see it throughout on the main floor level. Interestingly though, on this wall, it's just drywall, and we applied the molding to make it look like it was all wood. That's a way to save money. While we have some of this Victorian traditional flavor, I thought it was imperative that I mix in something artisan, something contemporary. So we had this created, which emulates tree trunks, so it remains organic, but it's completely original and made out of bronze. Bringing in a sense of novelty was important to us, things that look to be collected and favorite things from the life we've lived. This easel is one of those. We've had it for years. We can light our artwork with it. It's very unusual. And really, this is where I started the theme of the emerald green. Let's look at the fireplace. This had to be cool. You can see the beautiful brass going around that limestone. And this is that level of detail that we can afford to do because the house is a little smaller. I always want to remind you that you can go big when you've already gone a little smaller than usual. So you can see we added the balls. You know, I'm a fan of the ball rather than the logs. I think that fake logs kind of just don't look real enough, I guess. And the balls are just cool and really truly a thing of the past that's kind of coming back. I love to use them. Big mirror, and then I do want to bring up this artwork on this wall. I wanted a sense of fashion in the house as well. You'll see this drifting emotion of art in the home and music. So these two paintings here are done by my son, and I loved celebrating those in the house here above the sofa. And I just completely ignored all of the details on that molding. You don't have to fit your artwork within the rectangle. There should be a feeling of openness here. This is where I work sometimes. This is our other desk in the home. I have an office, but sometimes I just want to be out in this beautiful room. The idea is you're available to the whole space, but at the same time you can get a lot of work done. Here we've got just a wide array of art. Go ahead and frame them differently and put them on the wall. It's kind of a chore to know how to put them on the wall, but I always say just start with one and build from there. This is the bathroom in this house, and it's kind of a say-so. I wanted it to be special and a little bit masculine. Come on in. As you look in, you'll see that we went with the brick tile on the floor, and it has a beautiful glaze on it, and it adds a little chatter of texture. And then you'll see you've got the vanity with the big bold brass hardware on it, and then the single sconce with an asymmetric lay of the mirror. Art is a part of this story as well, and you'll see it above the toilet where I always make sure there's a piece of art. And then the details in the shower are all about brass, and that you'll see all over the place because it would have been in the 1940s. And of course, I love brass. Oh my gosh, this is one of our finds from downtown on that early Saturday morning. Literally $200. We then refurbished it and put in a Bluetooth speaker, and we can listen to our music on this cool old speaker. Things like that just added to the authenticity of this home. And now we're in what I call the pub. I wanted this to feel very open, and it really was all about these light fixtures. These are solid brass, and I love how low they hang. I wanted it to feel very close to the table rather than up high, and that kind of creates a dramatic energy in the space. This is an old table. I once had a wedding for my daughter, and we used this table as a large cheese board. And now we're bringing that history here into the house. You can see the kitchen is just easy to get to. I wanted it to feel very self-service and beautiful. Small area, kind of like a galley kitchen, but we've just filled it with opportunity. This is my main story here. I love the brass shelves. I love the glasses and plates, easy at hand, so everybody can come in and make their own drinks. When you look at the backsplash, I also used brick. So this is that same brick, just like the floor in the bathroom. I love the glaze, and one key factor is using this darker grout so you can realize the shape of your bricks. This countertop is marble, and I'm always kind of wanting to repeat the story of if you go to Europe, every bakery and restaurant is filled with marble tops. They are durable. Yes, they may etch from time to time, but they're real, and it's okay if they look like they've been used. I love this DuPont edge that I utilized here. It's soft, it's not too modern, but it is clean with that very cool straight line. The sink faucet, again, absolutely beautiful brass. Now, of course, unlacquered brass is going to show fingerprints. It's going to show aging. I love that. To me, a house like this isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be used. I don't want you guys to miss the lighting. Instead of regular recessed cans, I love these flush mounts that have this old vintage glass. And then, of course, the silver-topped light bulb. That makes it less strong in the room. But it really is such a pleasure not to see another recessed can. Now let's go see the bedroom. This is meant to feel masculine, maybe like an artist lives here. We moved some walls in here so we were able to start over, but we kept the windows where they were. These are all double hung windows from the 1940s. We kind of wish they could have been remodeled over time because they weren't very insulated, but there was just no way I wanted a new fresh window in this house, so we kept those. You can see that we added wall covering in here that was kind of busy and dramatic, but the colors are rich and masculine. My favorite thing was deciding to bring them up and then into the ceiling area and adding this piece of trim to stop the wallpaper from going on the whole ceiling. I feel like some of the tricks that I've used in this house are things that you could do. They're not expensive, they're just details that if you think about, you could upgrade your very own home. The struggle in a small bedroom is always space. So I really didn't have room for an extra chair, a major big closet. So I decided to combine the two, and you can see that over this way. We have our major closet here and some storage above. And then if you turn this way, you can see I tried to mix the seat in right here. So you could put your shoes on and the dirty clothes are right below. I know this is crazy, but it was an antique I found in Atlanta. And again, I've had it for years and I thought this is the place. It just felt right in this space. This is just a nice soft upholstered bed, really meant to be simple, very hotel-like in the space. Before we go downstairs, I've got to show you the back door. This is what I had to have in the house, and you know it as a Dutch door. You can see how fun this is, and even though it's a snowy day today, it's so beautiful to be able to look out and have the air come in. Plus, it's just fun. So we will show you how that works. It's really simple. I love a Dutch door. Oh my gosh, just touching this brass hardware on the side here. I love the handrail. It used to be an old wood one that you'd expect. Guys, it wasn't that expensive to add to the house. So I want you to consider things like that. It's fun to dress up your handrail. I also wanted to make it so that you wouldn't slip down the stairs because it's a steep stairway. And so we just simply added the brass rail on the front of the stairs so we don't slip down. And again, I just love to see the brass. So most small houses have a problem with ceiling height in the basement. When we came and toured the house, I guess it was really a combination of the wonderful pitch on the outside, which you'll see, and the fact that the basement wasn't too low. So it's 8-foot ceilings, which is very rare. One way to cure that in a ceiling is to add this nickel board that you see all around that I have just taken on the column that I had to keep, put it all over the ceiling, and it really helps you to find sense out of all of the different elements in a ceiling, especially an old one. So you can see this is our lounge. This is really where we watch TV. And we don't even have a TV upstairs, but this sofa really is a fun story. This was also at the vintage shop. It was about $800. I think Kelly Wersler is showing this very same sofa for a lot more money. We did get it reupholstered, of course, but this is sort of the jewel in the home. We're so happy it fit and we could get it down the stairs. We have TV in here and we just kind of enjoy a little bit of reading in this special little cozy space we're lucky to have. In this small space, I wanted to make sure I threw in some vintage, some antique rugs, and you'll see them all over the floor. I even decided it would be cool to use an old rug as a drapery. You can see up close, this is really just a floor rug, but wow, it just creates something different on the wall. So as you walk in here, this really is created by our whole family, and we have mixed many talents as you look through, mostly around music and art. So you can see a beautiful way to hang your guitars. All of my children play guitars. We wanted the ceiling to be dramatic, even though it's only 8 feet tall. We created this very interesting wall covering and actually just printed it after we saw a beautiful picture in a Japanese book. This is easy to do and add to your life. From here you can see our array of record collection, our art collection, and what we love the most is the vintage speakers. These are really usable speakers. They look cool too, but the added benefit is there's something my son absolutely loves. You can see these chairs are just amazing. These are from the 1960s, and we had them recovered in suede. Oh my gosh, they are so comfortable, and it's rare that you can find a chair that's easy to play guitar in, that has arms, but this is made for music and comfort. I love this bearskin rug thrown in. You know, our idea was to bring in just a ton of texture. And once again, of course, you can see the emerald color that I love. And I actually call this a drenched emerald. You have to be ready for it, because when you look at your paint sample, you'll just say, no way, it's too strong. But then when you get it in a whole space, it just feels right, and it has that kind of energy that makes the room actually feel vintage in and of itself. We created these custom designed guitar hooks that you can see, of course, are made of brass, but then we incorporated leather as well to sort of soften it as you hang the guitar on it. I think these are pretty cool and a little diversion from the practical guitar hooks. So we've got the masculine bedroom upstairs and the very feminine bedroom downstairs. This is meant to be a girl's dressing room experience. And I kind of got carried away because I would love to have a room like this in my own life. We've got an exposed closet, an exposed bureau, beautiful artwork and softness, meant to be extremely usable, practical, but elegant. So I'll start with the art. This I call Flower Power, and this is one of the most beautiful paintings, and I wanted to be able to see it the minute you come down the stairs. The issue here was I also wanted to have drapery in the room. I wanted to soften these walls and make it more feminine. So I simply decided, well, I'm gonna have to hang it off the ceiling. So we developed a pretty cool detail of how we could hang the art off of this custom brass hook. And you'll see that I have my brass hardware detail here above these very simple drapes that could be drawn. The bed itself is meant to be low and not overly expressive because there's a lot going on in this room. It all really started with this mural wall covering. You'll notice as you get closer that that wall covering is actually not glued down to the wall. It is hanging off the top. We were able to simply add a piece of wood and adhere the top of the wallpaper to it and let all the strips of wall covering fall as they may. This makes it easy to change later, and it also really just looks informal and casual, and I want to say handmade in a way. Let's talk about the bureau. My idea was that we would sit in this amazing chair, which we call the bubble chair. You can see why, and it's made of fur. It's just, well, it's a woman's delight. You can see that this is meant to be easy to use. I wanted a special spot that I could hang my purses. I wanted some sunglasses out. The goal was to make it easy at hand. There is just no reason we can't make practical things beautiful. Also, we want a closet in the room. Why? Because the house is not that big. So what do? We created these brass hanging rods that I could put all of my, well, let's just say pretty clothing on. And really the things that I wear the most often are these neutrals. These are my clothes, these are my shoes. And the idea was, let's go ahead and leave it out in the room. Now listen, if this was red and striped and black, I would put that in the regular closet. But for me, I wanted to make it easy, and I was thinking of my daughter Tessa when I was designing this space. She has way too many clothes, and she needs a closet in her bedroom because it won't fit in the closet. Welcome to my world. This is a bathroom that I envisioned myself in. I wanted to feel a little bit over the top. The opportunity was here. We also needed to really distract from some of the things that we had to deal with in an old house. And I'm sure other people have these same struggles. So I thought, brilliant, let's use a very cool wall covering. And this one happens to have a bird in it, and I love the colors. This is actually kind of a burgundy tone, but you'll see that subtle pink, that nude pink, my favorite color. You'll see it pop up on the vanity. You'll see it on the rug. You'll know that blush tone like on this painting. So this is a feminine bathroom. I broke a few rules in here, and I added a few things that I think are unexpected. So one of the rules is putting artwork near the bathtub. Well, it works. I don't think we're gonna splash that much, and I loved seeing something rich and real and authentic in that space rather than a clinical bath setting. Also, hey, what do you do when you have these freestanding tubs and you need a place to put your shampoo and your sponge and your soap? So I created a shelf that we could add right here to put it easily in hand while you're in that bathtub. Now, we had to deal with this post that was already in the space and we could not move it. So I thought, how can I make this post look good? So we added this marble on this wall and then used brass as a detail, a fin, if you will, because it sticks out and remains very thin. And that's what goes around each of the four sides of this pillar that we could not get rid of. Well, we could have, but it would have cost a ton of money. So the shower, the idea in the shower is still to keep it gourmet. Just like upstairs, I decided to use marble. Now the trick down here is I had a budget. So I truly got this marble from Home Depot. It happens. It was readily available and it was the right price. Upstairs, we went with a beautiful blue marble, but I don't think you feel the difference. And I am a fan of saving money. You don't always have to go to the top. But when it came to the vanity, I did. And probably that's why I needed to save money when it came to the tile in the shower. You can see the details are here. We did a ribbed blush color on the face of this vanity. I love seeing the energy of all the ribbing on the front and then the very thin, refined brass hardware. The secret to the vanity, I think, is the very thin legs that go all the way down in the brass, and the fact that I went with a very thin countertop material that did not go all the way down. So they're just things that you would expect that we decided not to do. So I do like to consider breaking a few rules in order for design to win, but always considering the practical side. So we do have a 2-inch backsplash to protect that wallpaper, but go ahead and use wallpaper in your bathrooms. After all, after many years, you can just take it off and reapply. I love the octagon mirror. It really gave this sense of sort of over the topness with these really cool sconces that look like plates of ice, really. Those are from Anthropologie, and I know I can always count on them for these little touches of the past realized in a modern way. And that's really what they're best at. And I feel like the whole bathroom is really that sense of the old realized in a modern setting. So I just love being in the space. This bathroom has that little sensibility of over-the-top cool factor. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to show you the inside of the little house. Let's talk a little bit about the outside. It all started with this pitch that I mentioned to you. And this house used to be kind of an ugly brick. So we painted it white and added the blue details on the windows and the copper gutters for authenticity. And my favorite thing, a gas lantern. If you can, do it, because when that thing is flaming, which is all the time, it makes your home so much more welcoming. I love the bluestone. I love the feel of this neighborhood. It's kind of a Norman Rockwell feel as you walk up and down the street. I really don't mind that cars drive by. There's a sidewalk. I can walk my dog. This is a home that I would really be comfortable living in. But instead, right now, I use it as my studio. This has been The Reveal, and I'm Anne Marie Barton.